So every new year, people get really focused about losing weight, thinking that that's the hardest part. And honestly, that is a very dangerous assumption to make because the hardest part in this whole process is what happens after the weight is gone. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you lose the weight, whether it be surgery, Ozempic, or you diet and you exercise, everyone is going to end up in the exact same state, and that is maintenance. And it's in this part where the mental game really shifts because your dream body, the body that you really want, is protected by who you become afterwards. And if you don't understand that mental shift, you end up being stuck in the same negative cycle of gaining weight, then losing weight, then gaining weight, then losing weight. So, this is really the part that determines whether you keep your results or whether you can kiss your dream body goodbye. Now, if you're new here, my name is Buki Sosa, and no, I am not a health and fitness coach, nor I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not going to tell you what to do and what to eat. But I am someone who did lose 50 pounds and I've kept it off for the past 3 years. And what almost took me out wasn't even the diet or the exercise alone, but really what came afterwards. And that's why this conversation is really important. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you 8 tips that you can apply today to avoid the exact same mistakes that I made. Let's dive in. So at the start of every new year, it's always like an interesting time because there's something really special about starting off the year strong, something new in the air. It almost opens up an opportunity of growth and exciting new changes, especially if your previous year wasn't the greatest. And it's like an opportunity to hit that reset button. And around this time of year is where people are the most motivated to really change their lives. And there was a study that came out where they said around 34% of people make weight loss as part of their New Year's resolution. And it's a very common goal that people write down because it is an intersection between visibility, control, and identity. Because when you lose weight, that is the most physical form of change that you can have that people see. And there's a sense of social validation that also comes with that, as well as the other great things that happened if that's been a big issue that you were trying to solve. And losing weight is also one of the fastest ways to change how you feel about yourself and really allows you to take control and take your power back. And everyone's always focused on starting it off strong, especially if it's something that you struggled with in the past and you weren't successful before, but now you're determined and ready to go. And a lot of people spend time in the prep work, but not so much think about the after plan that happens when the success has been achieved. And for me personally, I did the traditional eating. I specifically did a keto diet and I was lifting weights at the gym. So I did prioritize strength training and a little bit of cardio in between. So I don't knock anybody that goes the surgery route or uses Ozempic or whatever forms of methods people use for weight loss. Doesn't matter to me. Because like I mentioned, everybody still ends up in the exact same place and just trying to maintain it. Regardless of what route you take, that feeling you have when you finally lose the weight, like you step on the scale and then you see the pounds drop bit by bit, and maybe the interest around your waist cinches in, and you see your body changes, the clothes fit you better. You know, you have this new sense of confidence and this change, this physical change that you're seeing. It's like it's really like an addictive drug. I thought it was at the time when I kept seeing the numbers drop. I really fed off of that energy, and a lot of people rely on the motivation of seeing the weight drop to really keep them going in the process. And then coupled with, you know, the validation you get from people when they look at you like, okay, you've been working out, you're looking good, compliments. Maybe if you're in the dating market, you're noticing you're getting a lot more attention from people, maybe the opposite sex or whoever you're attracted to. So There's so much that comes with losing weight that is a great positive. But what happens is once that weight has been lost, everybody is now at a state of when they have to maintain the results that they worked for, or maybe pay money for, or whatever method you chose. Like I said, doesn't matter. Everybody's at that same phase of maintenance. And this is the part where a lot of people don't do the actual prep work for. They wait until they achieve it to then determine, okay, what next? And the thing is that if you don't have some type of level of discipline, this is the make or break moment. Because, let's say if you acquire discipline through another phase in your life or through your weight loss journey, if you did the natural route or whatever you took, that is where your level of discipline is now tested, because now you have to prove that you can keep these results long term, and it has to be sustainable. And oftentimes what happens during the maintenance phase is that you kind of take your feet a little bit off the gas pedal. You're not as aggressive as you were at the beginning of your weight loss journey. And there's this state of being comfortable, and sometimes comfort will then start to replace your intentionality that you had. So for example, if you used to meal prep before, then all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more spontaneous. You kind of just eat whatever. Or maybe if you had scheduled workouts before, and now it's like you start to work out whenever you feel like it. Or instead of intentionally choosing to do a specific set of actions, you now change your language and start saying, well, I deserve XYZ because I've already done the work before, but not realizing you still need to continuously do the work in order to keep the results you got. People lose sight of the good habits that they develop during their weight loss journey and don't keep up with it, and it ends up backfiring against them. This maintenance process, you cannot cheat. Now, there was this one interesting study that they did where they said after 1 year, 30 to 35% of the weight that you lost ends up being gained back at the end of the first year. And at the end of the second year, around 50 to 55% of the weight is now regained back. And as we progress years down the line, in like 3 to 5 years, more than 50% of people end up weighing the exact same weight they did pre-weight loss. And one of the main reasons why this happens is that people are mentally unfit. And what I mean by mentally unfit, I mean your mind is not strong or steady enough to handle everyday stress or decisions well. So a lot of the times when this happens, you're allowing your feelings and your emotions to really take over and drive your action. So what I said earlier, if you didn't develop that discipline, practicing those good habits to really sustain your result, and you are relying on just pure willpower and motivation to keep you going, a lot of that is going to backfire if you're mentally unfit. So you're relying on motivation instead of good habits. You're relying on food for comfort when you're stressed. You're going back to your old routines when maybe life gets a little bit too busy and there's not a lot planning or structure around your schedule anymore. You're choosing the path of least resistance just to get some type of relief in the short term, but you're not thinking about how this action is going to affect you in the long term. So if you didn't do that inner work beforehand, the old version of yourself is going to start to creep in. And that old version of yourself is determined by your thoughts, your action, your energy, what you choose to focus and spend your time and attention on. And without that mental strength and being mentally fit, people will end up defaulting to their old ways and patterns that feels easy and comfortable for them. Not realizing that, this maintenance you're in right now needs protection. And it can only be protected by the improved version of yourself and who you become afterwards. Now, earlier on, I did say I will provide you 8 tips to avoid making the exact same mistakes that most people make. Now, the very first thing you have to keep in mind is you gotta treat maintenance like it's a phase and not an absence of rules. So, meaning that the maintenance phase is not something that you can be passive about. It is an intentional act of being in the right mental state of mind. It's the smaller decisions that you make every day. That's what's going to allow you to keep the results long term, because those smaller decisions compounds and compounds, and that's what allows you to build something sustainable. So I don't want you to see the maintenance phase like, I can relax now, I can finally, just let myself go. Absolutely not. You got to see it as, now the rules have changed and I need to adapt to it. Number 2, replace motivation with awareness. One of the things to notice as you're losing weight is when you're seeing that weight drop on the scale, you feed off of that motivation, you feed off of the results. And all of a sudden, when you're maintaining your weight, it honestly can feel boring when you're not seeing the numbers change. And sometimes it can reduce a little bit of motivation, even after you've achieved the result. You're not getting that same excited adrenaline feeling that you were earlier on in your weight loss. So becoming very aware is what's going to keep you honest in this whole journey. Awareness does the job that motivation did earlier in your journey, and it's what's going to help you keep you grounded at the end of the day. So you need to ask yourself, am I being intentional about my choices here, or am I drifting a little bit off track? Now, the next thing you have to worry about is protecting your non-negotiables. So in this phase, not everything needs to stay strict. You still have to have your same some type of structure and some type of constants, whether it's eating a certain number of protein a day, or going to the gym X amount of days, or moving your body in whatever way. There are still some things that stay constant, and those will be your non-negotiables. But at the end of the day, you still have to be open-minded to the changes and the ebbs and flows that happens during this phase. But be consistent about keeping your good habits, the same patterns as you go through the change. Now, number 4, you gotta schedule time for reflection. And this is something that not a lot of people do, but intentionally carving time out, whether it be daily or weekly, but just checking in on yourself, seeing how are you mentally doing? How does my body feel? Do I feel bloated in this state? Or do I feel like I have more energy? Am I focused? Really seeing how you are as a person, reflecting, having some downtime to really think and process things. And as much as a lot of physical work is being done to help keep your result, there's also a lot of mental work that's involved in this process as well. So taking time to work on that is what's really going to help keep the results long term. And in this phase, if you catch yourself drifting a little bit, don't be afraid to identify what is the root cause that's causing that drift. Am I a little bit stressed out from work? Or is there a lot that I'm taking on right now in my life that's causing me to lose focus? Really sit down and identify what that thing is, and see how there's ways to really mitigate that to avoid you getting off track. Because at the end of the day, you win more in this phase by reflecting more instead of restricting yourself. And the fifth thing to keep in mind is to pay attention to the language you're using during this time. So if you find yourself saying, I deserve it, or just this once, or I'll lighten up later, there's nothing wrong with saying this once in a while, and it's not necessarily a bad signal. But if you catch yourself saying it consistently over and over and over again in a short amount of time frame, it starts to compound and compound, because what you say and then the action you take starts to reflect what you're feeling internally. So pay attention to your words, because they tell you if you're drifting way before your body does. Now, the 6th tip is staying connected to the identity and not the actual outcome. So when you're in your weight loss journey, it's very easy to focus on the output, the results, the weight dropping. You're supposed to. Now, the difference is that when you're in your maintenance process, because you're maintaining and not necessarily gaining or losing, it's really the identity and who you become that matters. So you really have to protect that person you became. So for me personally, after my weight loss journey, I gained a lot of attention from people. There was a lot of social validation I gained from friends, from families. Even when I was dating, I was getting a lot of attention from men. Even sometimes when I would look at myself in the mirror and I would look at this new body, my mental didn't catch up to what the physical change looked like. And what I meant by that is sometimes even when I lost the 50 pounds, I would still look at myself as that chubby shy little girl because that was how I looked at myself for years. So all of a sudden, with this drastic change, I didn't allow my mind to fully catch up to the change. And it took a while to really fuse this newfound physical identity with the mental shift that I needed to happen. So there's a lot of work that I need to do to internally catch up to it. So for you watching, you really have to ask yourself, what decisions will that best version of myself make in this current moment? Or what would the version of me who lost the weight do right now? Because at the end of the day, your result that you get is so fragile if your identity isn't protected. Now, the seventh thing is to expect a little bit of boredom and plan for it. I'll be honest, you guys, maintenance is kind of boring sometimes because it's repetitive. Sometimes it feels like the same old, same old, same old. Sometimes meals or routine that I do at the gym, like it can really be redundant and boring. And you can't be afraid to try something new. So for example, I mentioned earlier that I do a lot of weight training, but I also started looking into doing aerobics or even pole dancing classes to build upper body strength. Maybe for you watching, maybe there's a specific set of hobbies or activities you want to take up. The most important thing is that moving your body in whatever capacity you can is key here. And don't be afraid to try activities. Some you may like, some you may absolutely hate. Now, don't forget that sometimes boredom is part of the contract, but there are some ways around it as long as you stay open-minded and willing to try new things. And the eighth and final thing is don't wait for urgency to return. And what I mean by that is, remember I mentioned earlier that some people allow their comfort in this new maintenance phase to replace their level of intentionality. They wait until it's too late, i.e., they gained the weight back to really all of a sudden spark up and do something about and make a change. Because that same level of urgency you had when you wanted to lose that weight in the beginning, it's not going to come back during the maintenance phase. So you almost have to find a new way to look at this phase. You got to act before you allow yourself to be uncomfortable and discomfort. And also remind yourself too how far you've become. And this is a perfect time to still keep pictures of your old self. Sometimes I be looking back at old photos and I'm like, damn, I come a long way. I come a long way. So, even for you watching, looking back at your progress pictures, where you were, where you are now, where you're going, that is what allows you to still take charge and keep your power even during this process. Because maintenance requires action before consequences. Now, recapping everything we discussed, it is not about having more discipline. It's really understanding what this entire maintenance phase is all about. And once you understand it, you stop being so hard on yourself and start feeling a little bit more steady. And if any of this felt all too familiar to you, I just want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. Most people weren't just taught how this phase works. Me included, I had to learn the hard way. But maintenance doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that the game has changed. So now you can move forward with a little bit more awareness, with more intentionality, and also giving yourself more grace in this process as well. So now I'm curious, comment down below, what are your New Year's resolutions? What are your health and fitness goals this year? I want to learn about it. I think for me personally, I'm currently looking into ways to biohack and optimize my body for better performance. So I'm looking at natural remedies out there. That's definitely a big goal of mine. If you want a little bit more intimate conversations, more deeper dive, so you can have a little bit more clarity in how to move in your day-to-day life with more awareness, this next video is just for you. Until next time.